Hello and welcome to the Carbitrage Podcast, episode 205. I am Eric Berger, joined as always by my co-host Ryan Snitsky, who apparently is the Moon 5.
No, that was remember in Oh Yeah by Yellow, the dude with the deep voice just goes, "The moon, so beautiful."
I don't remember that.
Those are actually the lyrics to the
Really?
song. Yeah,
Oh, I don't hear lyrics.
Oh yeah,
so.
the lyrics to the song is just this dude that's like on cocaine talking about the moon.
Okay.
Like it's a great song.
That's pretty trippy. I mean, I do like Yellow. Oh yeah, it's very, very good. I think my first real experience with that, actually liking it, was from a Gran Turismo game.
That was your loser song.
Oh yeah.
I love that song because that's a
GT3.
Duffman theme from The Simpsons.
Wow, that's pretty good. All right, I want to briefly touch on two things, and we're going to nail through this episode. First one, patreon.com/Carbitrage.
Oh, shoot. Hello, listener. Sorry, our patrons I did not say hello to. I just started talking about Yellow, so don't worry. It's all okay.
Oh, Corey found a picture of a boat that he wants to put the Mercury V12 on. I put it on screen for the listeners.
That's a good boat.
That will sink.
Yes. It's a good boat.
Just
and
put
it
an
will sink.
extra buoy on it.
Yeah, it'll be fine. So Ryan has said hello to the listener, and anyway, patreon.com/Carbitrage. On our personalized Patreon page, you will find two open-ended levels of support for content consumers like you, to support content producers like us, buying us things like tasty beverages, and contributing to our modest, but their hosting costs. Patreon.com/Carbitrage. Please and thanks. Beer. We're both, oh my god, there's cats in front of me.
Very cute.
Oh, I love kitties. Anyway, beer. We are both drinking Tall's Boy of Grand Belt Northeast.
Yes, because that was what was in there.
Corey and I finally
was gonna
remembered to
get
get
a-
a single case of beer, and at least we have that.
Going to get you some beer because I got paid on Friday.
Don't do it until it's not cold outside, because leaving the car for any reason right now is just a poor decision.
Yeah, well, it was all because of that stupid light on snowing. It ruined my entire being
We're now
nice
on
to you.
2 weeks of the light. I want to talk about the Buick 216 V6 engine.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Maserati's Nettuno V6 engine. That's what it is. Okay. So, I was reading this morning. I'm like, that sounds an awful lot like the Buick Oddfire V6 that they put in like the Jeepster and these garbage vehicles back in the day.
Tell me about it.
So an Oddfire,
Oh wait, so it's an Oddfire.
it's a 90-degree engine, but they don't offset the pin on the crank is what they call it, where the two connecting rods are at the same location.
So it's 6 divided by 4.
So
Too much
they're
math.
60-degree offset fires for an even fire, like 60-degree V6. This has 90-degree offset.
Why?
Well, it's more power dense, but it is notoriously very rough running.
Yes, but
Because-
it's going in a Maserati, not a Buick.
And
from
the
60s.
story is basically saying that Maserati kind of likes the visceral sense, and engine mount technology has improved since 1962, which is both true.
Yeah.
But this engine should have a balance shaft and does not. Yeah. Okay. So the Buick 215 had a balance shaft put in because it wasn't good. And then later, they did even more work to it. But this engine actually has some cool stuff. It's using tech that's derived from their current season F1 car, and it uses a pre-chamber for the port injection system, and it uses the DI for cruising.
1 second.
'Kay.
So it's got CVCC.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a Oddfire V6.
It's a CVCC 216 V6.
So basically what Maserati's done is they've gone through the 1960s and 70s and found every weird technology that was left in that era and just put it all together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay.
they put a
I'm
bunch of
surprised
smog
it's not
tech
cars.
in here.
Does it also have a thermal reactor? And
Oh.
does it
You betcha. It's got two of them in the form of turbochargers.
and does it also have continuous mechanical injection?
It does not.
Oh, it doesn't have mechanical injection.
No, it does have EFI.
I thought it would just have like effectively a high pressure fuel pump and then like a thumb over a hose just dumbly spraying fuel behind the throttle body, so it's technically not a carburetor.
It might. It does have Magnetti Marelli fuel management, so it's not Bosch.
So does my Fiat.
Yeah, and the Fiat's been pretty good, so it's probably okay. But the pre-chamber stuff is actually really cool. So this uses
it's
port
actually
and
really
direct
cool.
injection, and it uses basically the port injection system with the pre-chamber for power when
Yes.
you need it, and then it uses DI for cruising efficiency, which is a very interesting.
That's totally backwards.
Yeah, but like it makes perfect sense because
But,
DI is really efficient for cruising.
I know, it's really funny because when you think of CVCC, you wouldn't think of that for power. You think about that for performance.
Well, it was done to heat things up
or
and
not
make
for
it
performance,
efficiency.
or for efficiency,
cleanliness.
performance. Yeah.
So it's a cool engine. I'm sure they're just gonna put it in a Ghibli and the what do you call it, the SUV, the Jana thumbs down SUV, Levante.
Yeah, I don't think I want this engine anywhere near me because it sounds like a bunch of bad ideas.
No, I was reading this. I'm like, this is a 216. This is a 216, and then they reference the 216, or sorry, 215. I'm sorry, 215. But I'm just like, okay.
This is just so dumb.
Car companies, stop.
No.
You're at the point, just like make V12s and make EVs.
You know what? I don't want this, but God bless them for making something dumb like this because nobody makes dumb
so
things
hard.
anymore.
Yeah.
Well, no. This is the thing is I don't want this anywhere near me. I own it, but I really appreciate companies making dumb engines.
Yeah, that's true.
And
Visio Racer will do an episode.
This is
on
the
this.
dumbest engine, and I'm a big fan of it. Like anything that's just stupid. Like I want to see a car that's extremely under square. I want to see this. I want to see like 3-liter 4-cylinders. I want to see just dumb things.
I want to see 3-liter V8s come back and things like that.
Yeah,
like
well, I
2-liter
want
V6s.
Yeah, those are good ideas. I want dumb ideas.
Oh,
I
okay.
want.
Well, let's make them odd fire.
Yeah, like I want to see an odd fire, like this odd fire. I want to see, like a 90.
A V7.
I want to see like a 90-degree 3-cylinder. Like I want to see just 3 cylinders like totally should be a 4th cylinder there, and it's just not.
Yeah, it's like the V7.
Yeah, like I just want to see more dumb things because I appreciate them.
May as well.
Yeah, like it fuel injections or fuel engines, like internal combustions, is going out the window.
Yeah.
So it's just
Let's send her out proper leg.
Yeah, like just go supernova with your stupid ideas. Like Volkswagen had their VR5. Yeah, bring that to America.
Yeah.
Make it a 4-liter too. Like in diesel. I want to just see more stupid. Can we take a rotary and make that diesel while we're at it? I also would like to see.
Oh no.
Yeah, I want to see a 6-cylinder engine with over 10 liters.
They already have those. They're in trucks.
In a car.
Oh.
I want dumb.
So you want pre-war then?
Bring me dumb. Like.
Well, Maserati heard you
Thank
and is
you.
starting the trend.
I don't want to buy it, but I want to know they exist.
Well,
So
it definitely exists, and as far as I know, it is through all the stages of federalization, and it's coming shortly.
Perfect. Oh, this is a bad idea. However, now that we're done with that stupid idea, I want to move on. It's still Black History Month that we were recording in, and I want to highlight our second major contribution to automotive culture from an African American person. I want to talk about Big Willie Robinson of the Brotherhood of Street Racing.
That is a lot of words.
I know, right? So nobody outside of like the hardcore street racer world knows who Big Willie is. But this dude, super interesting person. Mm-hmm. He kind of like bridged the gap between civil rights and car culture in the 1960s. He was 6 foot, 600-pound bodybuilder and a Vietnam Green Beret. And yeah, I know, right?
Oh.
Yeah, they call him Big Willie for a reason.
I see.
He's really huge. If you scroll down this, you'll probably find a picture of him. But he was like insanely massive. Apparently, his arms were like the size of my head. Like his biceps are just massive. But so Big Willie, what he did was in 1965 there were really bad race riots in Los Angeles called the Watts riots. There's a picture of Big Willie next to it. So if we just stop here. That is a really massive car because he raced a Dodge Daytona.
That's a Barracuda. No, it's
That's
a Roadrunner.
That's a Daytona.
Daytona, yeah.
And so a Daytona is not a small car.
That's a Daytona gasser.
Yes.
A car designed for top speed, modified to do drag racing.
Yes.
Interesting.
And so also, you have to understand that. So the Charger is a huge car, and this has an extra like 1.5 feet of aero on it, and the spoiler is as tall as I am.
Also, will slow you down.
Yes. Well, actually, no. It kept the car stable at 200 miles an hour,
right.
and it was actually adjustable. It's really a cool spoiler, actually. But it is dwarfed by Big Willie.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that looks like a Civic next to me.
Yeah, this lifted Charger is at is below his nipples.
Yeah, like this, he's a massive person.
Also, the bell bottoms,
And
nice
then
touch.
you
Yeah,
can
no,
see
right?
everyone.
Yeah, all
in
these
the
are normal
background.
sized people behind him.
Jeez.
Yeah,
You
this
can
is
tell that they're
insane.
standing up because there's that. You can see that one guy's feet at the front.
Imagine how fast he would have been if he was 100 pounds lighter.
I know, right? So, but anyway, Big Willie, his big contribution after the 1965 Watts riots, he really started concentrating on how when people were at the drag strip, it didn't matter what race you were. And he was actually quoted in 1994 as saying, black, white, yellow, brown, skinheads, Nazi party members, Muslims, we got them all. They're all here at the track. They're all communicating. They're all starting to communicate. And they start to like each other. And once they start liking each other, they forget about hate. And I think that's a really powerful message here.
And that was in the 60s?
That he was...
Or that was in the 90s?
That he said that in the 90s.
Okay.
But in 1965, he said, if you're racing, you ain't shooting.
Ah, okay.
So he was actually saying that, you know what, if you're out here and you were street racing and you're actually concentrating on a car, you're not joining a street gang, you're not joining a white supremacy group,
Sure.
you're not joining the, like, Al-Qaeda.
That's pretty
Like,
accurate. I mean, being into cars kept you out of everything else.
I never did drugs in high school, so I had no
Same.
money for it.
Exactly. That's what I always tell people.
And actually, it's a really big thing. Like, if you ever read, like, if you pick up any lowrider magazine, every single issue is at least one story of a guy where his dad bought him a car because he was getting into drugs, he's getting into gangs, and his dad's like, you're going to get into cars now. And then the kid found the car to be an outlet. And Big Willie was really instrumental in creating that mindset and the brotherhood of street racing where the National Hot Rod Association, NHRA, was more, I'm not going to say it was white people based, but there was,
I mean, everything was.
It had a much higher barrier of entry. You had to pledge not to street race. You had to like get a driving license. You had to do all this shit. You had to keep your nose clean. Whereas the Brotherhood of Street Racing is you just don't fight at the races.
Sure.
That's your rule. And the Brotherhood of Street Racers are actually still around. And they've at their height they had 60,000 members in 8 different countries.
Damn.
Yeah. So like huge. And so like when we used to go out to Rice Street, that Rice Street parking lot was
Yeah.
actually rented out by BSR.
Oh,
And so that they do have they have membership here in Minnesota, and even to date in California they still do street racing out in Compton and stuff. But what they actually did at their height in the 1970s is they opened up Terminal Island Raceway, which is where all these pictures and videos are from. And it was literally in the port of Los Angeles in Terminal Island. They had purchased a half mile of road and actually paid rent on it for people to street race whenever they felt like.
That's really
That's
cool.
really
Yeah, it was
That
like
would be worth membership dues.
yeah, the membership you pay $20 to get in. Like that was your membership due. He opened that, and it was entirely a nonprofit thing to keep youth off of the streets.
I wish that were here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was super helpful in this era when, like, while you had New York, where everybody was in a gang and everybody was fighting and killing each other, in California it would have been twice as bad. Like, yeah, they had a huge gang problem, but they also had like a huge car culture, not problem, but answer.
Sure.
Because while everybody was joining gangs in California, you had an equal number of people that were also out there experimenting with Volkswagens and the import movement and all these things. Like a lot of the import street racing came from BSR. And while they got their bread and butters from muscle cars, they don't you don't only have to have a muscle car.
Right.
The important thing is that you are loving other people and that you are racing, and that's the most important thing. And so Big Willie, he's the LA Times actually has a 4-part podcast documentary on Spotify about him that I'd highly recommend if you want to learn more about him that you can listen to, because they actually were out interviewing people that knew him, that knew stories about him. It's one of those things where it's like, if you aren't into street racing, you've never heard of him. But if you are into street racing, he's like, I would put him like in the top 50 most important civil rights icons.
And not even just civil rights icons, but probably also like automotive icons for the United States, because I'm going to cover somebody in the next episode who a lot of parallels.
Yeah, and it's
Like
just
nobody's heard of them, and they are arguably one of the best in their entire in all of time.
yeah, and it's Big Willie. He never gets the time of day because this whole thing was illegal street racing, quote unquote. But
I mean, is it illegal when you rent the street?
that's the thing is he also did illegal street racing
Okay.
too. But the whole point of it is that like they were actually going to great lengths, and to date go to great lengths to make sure their street racing is safe. Like you've been to BSR street races, like
Yeah.
they are. Like I don't think you've actually been to their actual street races.
Nope. The
But
last street racing
Jan-
stuff I went to, I mean, there was a little bit of that area, but I think it
Yeah.
was before that, and it was mostly uni.
Yeah, and that was it was in the same like locations, but Jan was actually there where they would actually block off both ends of the street.
Yep.
They'd have cars parked at each end.
Yep.
They'd have people out a block over looking for oncoming traffic. They'd have communication going back and forth.
It's
Yeah.
like what that show wants to be, but
Yeah,
Oh,
Street
Street
Outlaws.
Outlaws.
Yeah.
They're the real version of Street Outlaws.
yeah. And it's
Um,
like it's not like people aren't being rude to each other like they are on Street Outlaws. It's like very civil, and like if they see a new person, you get questioned. You have to know somebody in the
Yeah,
group.
you have to
like
know how
you
to
have
get
to
in,
have
yeah.
somebody vet it. Like
They're not
they're
not exclusionary.
exclusive, but they want to make sure you're not a hooligan that's gonna.
Yeah, it
mess
only
up.
takes back in the old days of uni. Well, sorry, the last days of uni when
Yeah.
I started going. I mean, early 2000s. It was great until somebody did something dumb. Every
And
night
that's the thing
something
is-
would do something dumb.
In BSR is they take the street racing
Mm-hmm.
and they keep the people from doing dumb stuff. And but
Yeah.
the thing is like if you're there to race.
Mm-hmm.
Very little words are spoken.
Yeah, like
They just,
you hang out with your friends. Yeah.
Yeah,
But like if you're there, you're there. It's not that there's very little words spoken. That's not
No,
really
I'm
true.
saying they're so well organized that they
Yeah,
don't
you
need to,
you know what you're doing.
They're not like
yeah.
yelling at each other like Street Outlaws. They just straight up like there's
You know what you're there
Yeah.
for. Like you know each other. Like it's a brotherhood. Like
Yeah.
it's actual like friend group.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, that's really really important for not only like getting people out of gangs, but also making like car culture safer. And like I guess like if you really have never been street racing, the best way to describe it, honestly, I think the closest film depiction I've ever seen is that big race sequence in Fast and Furious 1, where they shut down the street. Like that is honestly the closest to what I've seen of actually being a BSR street race. And even that's like way off. But
Road's closed, pizza boy.
yeah,
Find
but
another
it's
way
one of
home.
those things where it's like you actually go to lengths to make
Yeah.
it as safe as
Yeah.
possible.
Like you can go flat out, there won't be anyone a half mile down the road.
Yeah, and like there's people at the end, like, but I mean, like the people are at the end, like, they have rules. You don't get in the road when you're racing. You know, you have people actually, try to like keep the peace and keep people, safe, and that's the most important thing. And I think that's what Big Willie was able to do. He passed away a few years ago, just actually fairly recently. But what he was able to do with that was to take that and just make it a very, very inclusive thing where previously street racing was you had your black folks, you had your Asian folks, you had your white folks, and they didn't race together. But what Willie saw was like, it doesn't matter what you are when you're racing. Because like, when I would go out street racing, like, there's a lot of people I know that are, like, ultra hard right conservative. I know a lot of people like I met Kira street racing,
Yeah.
and she's like far left, like queer, like
Yeah.
there's like all over the place. Like
Yeah.
I've met people, like I've met Muslim people street racing and everything. So
Yep.
it's really what he's done for the world of street racing. He really has stood the test of time and has not just been in Southern California, even though that's where he exclusively operated.
Yeah, his influence sounds like it's still lasting. So.
It lasts today. Like, it's really, really cool. So, he absolutely gets a spot in my Black History Month highlights.
Very cool.
So, yeah. Next story.
Oh, man. I mean, I was so intent listening to your story. I'm ready.
Yeah.
But my next one, I'm so glad Jan is actually here
Yay.
because it's not really a story. It's just something that's for sale right now. But it's a K car with a K boat and a K trailer.
Holy shit.
I need this. This is so
It's even from a
cute.
K-State.
It's adorable.
It's even from a K-State. It's from
And somebody
Vermont.
made the mistake of putting it on Cars and Bids.
Oh.
Look
No.
at that little outboard. Ah.
Honey, that means that they're not going to get any money for their
Oh,
vehicle.
perfect.
Yeah.
Just finance it. Oh my! Oh, it's like an inboard outboard. Ah, so cute.
I love everything.
Oh,
This is what I'd put that Mercury engine on.
yes, twin towers of power.
Yeah.
Or
It
just
already
one.
has a Mercury.
Oh my
Already
God.
has a Mercury.
Wait till you get to the steering wheel on the boat.
Oh man, I'm excited. Okay, so for the audio listeners, which is most of you, it's a little K like gardening truck,
So you
painted
just hear us
red,
cooing.
like a little fire truck, and then it's got a
It's-
little like tugboat woody boat on a little jet ski trailer with an inboard
it's a
9.9
Mitsubishi Mini
horse.
cab,
Okay.
which is the equivalent of a Daihatsu Hijet.
Oh my lord, it is
So
just
small.
the epitome of adorable.
Oh my.
I haven't gotten to the steering wheel on the boat yet. Oh,
Just
there's the
right-
oh, it's right-hand drive, of course. Yep. Oh, it's got a little ship's
A
wheel,
little pirate wheel. It's so cute.
and you know that button goes to a tacky horn.
Oh my God, yeah, the horns on the roof.
Oh, and it's got lights. This thing is. Somebody was having a good time making this.
Oh my God, it's got a,
It's
little
got a water cannon.
I love that
Oh.
so much.
This is great. This is a
So-
great story.
So anyway, yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. It's just, oh, the little legs.
About the truck,
I
it's also a 3-cylinder, likely turbocharged, 67 horsepower 3-cylinder.
I just want to
Again,
use
I said-
this boat.
Yeah,
That's all I want to
fine.
do is
The
just
boat
use
and
this
the
boat.
truck are perfect.
Imagine like driving that to your parents' house and then
Imagine
you
driving-
have to go to the boat lift.
Imagine
You just
driving
push
this-
it through your yard.
To Lake Minnetonka.
Go to the boat launch.
And go take this to the boat launch. And
Rent
then,
a slip for this boat.
yes. And then like take this down to Maynard's and like where everybody takes
Get
their
some dinner on
yachts
the water. Yeah. Oh, you would be the star of the show.
with your tiny little boat. I love it.
I want to see what this
Oh, I
is
need
going
this
for,
so
actually.
bad.
Yeah, this is a very good question. It will be next to free.
We're
Bit right there. God, what a
currently bidding for $5,000.
Okay,
Oh.
so
So
we will
this'll
be
end
accepting
Washington.
donations.
this will probably end at about.
We can rebrand
8
all
to
of this
10.
stuff Carbitrage.
This could be 8 to 10 grand. But
Oh, there's 124 photos in the gallery. Anyway, head on over to
This
Cars
is
and Bids and look at the
wonderful.
1996 Mitsubishi minicab fire truck with boat and trailer.
I love it.
Oh, it's This is so
I
great.
absolutely need this. Okay, the hearse is on hold for now.
just everything that's for sale right now in Washington and in like the Pacific Northwest. It's just great. This is such an amazing vehicle.
Just so much time went into this.
I love it so much.
So anyway, that's all I got there. But
That's good news. I'm happy here. This made my day.
Tiny wheel. Oh my goodness.
I too want to talk about something small.
Oh,
Yes, I want to talk
Modi's not here.
about the microlino.
Oh, okay.
the microlino.
Oh,
Oh.
yep.
It's starting production, and you're probably wondering if you're a listener, what the hell is a microlino?
We've talked about
The
it. haven't we?
microlino is a BMW Isetta EV that's made in Switzerland.
Wait, go back for a second. Look at his face driving it. He's doing a Ryan.
I'm only this big, but I'm fast, I promise.
But yeah, it's really, really rad. It's a little BMW Isetta EV. It's perfect. It's a 2-seater. So I'm very excited for this to be made.
One of the few vehicles that can pull off blank steelies.
Yes, and also it is.
There we go.
They're just finishing up their certification for the EV, so it's actually going on sale in the EV and in the EU. However, it is going to be a low production vehicle, so they could come to America possibly.
I like this thing.
I would like this,
I would
please.
absolutely drive the hell out of this thing. I would love driving this.
I hope
all
we're
the
just
time.
entering an era where people start to have fun with cars again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, now if you
Because I want one of those.
if you go to the second link that I provided,
Oh, but this
there,
one's so cute.
trust me, it's still the microlino. Because I found even more great stuff about their website. If you go, no, that's still car scoops. You go to the one that says microlino. This is actually their website.
Which is slow.
No, that is your internet. Because this is like that at my house.
Well, we are streaming on Wi-Fi on Association Internet, so I guess
Now, if you go to the little 3 bars at the top right of
it's
the page,
called a hamburger menu.
yes. Now click on the microletta.
Oh, no.
Because this
I
is just as good.
Oh,
It
I
is
need
a
one of those too.
3-wheel like Vespa EV.
I don't want 3 wheels, but I want one of those with 2 wheels badly.
I'll even take it with 3. That's great.
It's so adorable. Where's
I
this company
want-
based?
They're based out of Switzerland. So
Oh, it's not Italian. We can't take it to Wheels of
we
Italy.
gotta get both
I
of them.
kind of can.
No, unless you just put Vespa badges on it. Nobody will know.
Every single Italian. You think every single Italian company isn't actually like based out of Switzerland secretly as a tax haven?
Maybe.
There's nothing legal happening in Italy ever.
Oh.
It's so great. It's a perfect vehicle. I love the microlino.
I
It's,
need both, please.
but if you look at so it's
5,000 euros.
yeah, that's brand new.
Two,
But it's,
two swappable batteries. That's pretty cool.
but so if you go back up, it goes 80 kilometers per hour, so it's like 45. With a
can
100
take it on the
kilometer
highway.
range. So, yeah, I mean this is a great city vehicle.
I really want to electric swap my Vespa, like badly.
You still have your Vespa?
I do. I haven't used it at all in 2020 because I only use it for the state fair for
Yeah.
parking. I did fire it up.
It goes 50 miles an hour, just so you know.
Okay, that's not fast enough.
But it's one of those things where like, I think it's electronically limited because it's exactly 50 miles per hour.
Oh, so it's a regulation
like
thing?
it's a regulation
Okay,
thing.
so we'll
It's
just snip
electronically-
the wire that
Yeah,
says "Do not
probably.
cut."
But the thing is, it's
Give it
also
a
it goes 50 miles
vasectomy.
per hour, so it's one of those things where I feel like it will go 50 miles an hour in like a second.
Yeah.
Like it'll just be. There's a reason there's 3 wheels probably, because like it will kill you if you have 2.
I need to do more research because Bosch and probably other companies like AEM make essentially turnkey conversion kits where you get a motor, a controller, a charger, a battery set.
God, it sounds like a great idea for a Vespa.
And like my Vespa engine is a little tired. I mean, it's got 37,000 miles on it.
What's the other cool Italian one? Like Lampredi or something? Lampredi? Or something? There's another Italian Vespa style.
Piaggio?
No, that's who makes Vespa.
I know.
But the other one's like Lampredi or something. But
I
they,
don't know.
they also make Vespas,
Huh.
like mopeds. But they're both
But like
really...
my Vespa is worth nothing now. So like,
No, you get one of the cool ones that like is like totally trashed mechanically.
yeah, it's true. You can get an old one with a just screwed drivetrain.
Yeah, and you put an EV in it. That'd be a perfect EV swap.
But I really like my modern Vespa.
God, I want Cars and Crafts to happen again.
Craft.
Cars and Craft.
We had them on here, and they confirmed it was Cars and Craft.
I just want Cars and Craft to happen again so I can bring a Vespa there.
Check it out.
And just do a burnout in my old tiny
I
Vespa.
want a microlino because I don't think there is more a vehicle that you would expect
It's a
me
perfect.
to drive.
It's literally the microlino and a microletta are perfect. And actually, if they made this folding so you could put it in the back of the microlino, it would be
So you're saying I
Chef's
just need to
kiss.
get a Honda City with a motor profile?
yeah. And this would be cheaper than that
Yeah,
because
this
those
would
are
be cheaper.
wildly expensive.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's true.
But this is not, and this is still being made, so it's a great vehicle.
I'm hoping that either the Microlino or the Microletta ends up as one of the thumbnail options for this episode because they're adorable.
Oh, they are wonderful vehicles. I absolutely love them.
The Microlino again. Like you don't find cars that can pull off steelies anymore, and that
Pulls off Steely's.
pulls off steelies.
Un poquito.
Oh, so going from adorable, great things that aren't in the United States to
Oh, yes.
God's country.
I actually
You probably heard about
Oh,
this.
yeah, so
I saw a bunch of videos from
Because-
like various groups, like a bunch of slab groups I'm in, of people that like drove past us.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you were not in the United States this week, every state in the continental United States got below 0 temperatures, or at least freezing
Below 0
temperatures.
C.
Yeah, 0 degrees
which is why
Celsius.
she's saying it like that because
Yes.
we're the only, unless we have like listenership in Libya.
Even still,
Everybody
it
uses
bears
Celsius.
mentioning a
Yeah.
unit. It's like
Yeah.
scientific
Yeah.
data. Without a unit and an
No.
error, it's
And
useless data.
plus my phone's just been doing Celsius lately, so yeah, so it's been below 0 Celsius all throughout the continental United States, which does not happen very often.
And it's been like negative 25 here Celsius.
It's an 8 degrees
Consistently
below
all
0
week
Fahrenheit.
because
yeah,
of the polar
today.
vortex, which is basically the air from the North Pole escaping due to climate change.
Yep.
So basically, what happens
The whole
scientifically is you have like the jet stream, which is like where it's an air current basically that goes along.
I learned about it from Rush from Finding Nemo, but
Yeah.
the other one.
It's basically like this air current that goes around the world is the jet stream. And in Minnesota, this is very common that we have our jet stream dip right below where like everybody lives, so we get the Canadian and like the Arctic air, which is normally kept north of us. What happens? Jet stream dipped really low and just dropped all this Arctic air, all the cold air down on us. So yeah.
So
No, it's-
Minnesota's used to it, but the other
Yeah.
parts of the United States aren't, and that's why this happened.
We understand ice. We understand black ice, which has been big
Yes.
the last. And for just the casual listener, black ice is essentially created by exhaust moisture freezing to the road.
Yes.
So it's extremely flat, almost
And you can't
perfectly
see it.
flat. You cannot see it. Looks just like roadway.
There is a reason that I drive with one of my tires directly on the little road lines, and the other one not right where like the lane marker is, and
Yep.
one right in the middle of the lane.
Yep.
Because I avoid black ice that way.
Yep.
Fun fact, but
Yeah, snow is your friend.
Yes.
Black ice is not snow. So if you know you're on snow, you're good.
yeah.
Anyway, Texas, God's
don't know
country.
that.
They are not really familiar with
We
ice.
get snowstorms
and-
every once in a while, but not ice usually.
If you've ever been to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, it is 5-lane wide, terribly maintained overpass city where everyone yeets their F-150 at 90 miles an hour absolutely everywhere.
Oh, that's
Totally
terrifying.
fine. But they, although they do have safety inspections in their state, which is
They don't have
something we
snow
do not have
tires.
here, they do not have winter tires.
They
and
also don't have salt.
you're allowed to have 430 seconds on your Walmart brand all seasons and summer tires. So they also don't prep roadways at all.
At
so
all.
they had a little
That's
bit of a
the
drizzle.
big thing. is
Little
that
bit
they
of a
don't
drizzle.
Prep.
Correct.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
It's like when Atlanta gets snow.
Yeah.
You just see donks
You
just
close the schools.
yeah, pretty much. It's an emergency. Like
Yeah.
don't go outside, it's too cold,
All
it's
right,
30.
so to be fair,
Yeah.
I made fun of that until I was in Atlanta when it was 28 degrees.
Again,
and I get it.
it's equipment.
There's a reason for that.
It's equipment.
It's not people
It's
not
not maintenance.
knowing.
It's not people. It's equipment.
Yeah.
Because I drove. I had to 2 years ago. I had to take Mr. Wags to work. I had put the summer tires on. It was like March. I'm like, we're good. It's spring.
It's not even that. It's even worse than that when you're in this. Because have you ever been in the South during a snowstorm?
Yes, I was in the Panhandle when it snowed, but I was in my car.
So, but yeah, you were in a car that's prepared for it. At
Kinda.
least
It
to
had
a
all
degree.
seasons,
Yeah,
but,
yeah. But I mean, like that's the thing is you knew what to do.
I knew the car.
So, I've been in Atlanta in a Chevy Trailblazer with Ching Chong Bing Bong tires.
Uh-oh.
When
Not
they,
the Bimpo Chimpo specials.
and
We're
they,
very tolerant, by the way, here.
And they didn't do any road prep or anything, and it was one of those things where when my Uncle David would let off the accelerator, you'd feel the back end.
Fun fact, everyone had an uncle named David.
Yes.
I had two. But Uncle David would let off the accelerator and the back end would creep back.
Yep.
It was, yeah.
Start to do ring
Did
around
you
the
tell
rosy.
him like, hey, let me
No,
take
it was
over?
one of those things where it's like you couldn't. Like you literally couldn't do anything. Because once I got out of the car, I'm like, wow, David just doesn't want to drive in winter.
Nope,
I
you
got out of
fell
the car
over.
and I fell over. And I felt the road, and the road is completely smoothed over because in Minnesota,
Yeah, we got the salt.
well,
and
we have the
sand.
salt, but also our roads
Are
wear. No, they wear into having snow.
Yep.
So like, this is something I'm entirely convinced about is that the salt gets pounded into the road and makes little divots in the road. I think that's actually a scientific thing, because I've never felt anything smoother.
Well, salt's
than-
very abrasive, so that stands
Yeah,
to
that would
reason.
make that makes sense. I've never felt anything smoother than a piece of tarmac that's never been graced with salt, with a layer of snow on it. Not even ice. Like it was like 30, like 28 degree, 30.
Slushy snow, right on the border
It
of
is-
freezing snow.
it
is
is-
so slippery.
Well, no. That's the thing is like that's the stuff you want to drive on though. Like compared to like
Well,
this.
it bunches
where-
up,
no,
it gives you traction, but
Yeah.
it's still, there's no road feel. It's
Yeah,
bad.
but like when you get out of the car, you're fine. Like in
Yeah.
Minnesota. Like in
Well-
Minnesota, you get out of the car when it's 30 degrees. Like you're not gonna have to deal with like ice that's just formed.
True.
Yeah.
But I
like,
see what you're
this is one
saying.
of those things where it's like the snow just slid, and I'm like, what the hell is this ice? Like, no, it's no ice. It's just the road.
A lot of it's
perfectly
it's
smooth.
road contaminants too, because a lot of these areas it doesn't rain nearly as much.
No.
So you get like oil from cars and like
That's the
tire
other
rubber
thing,
wearing
yeah.
into it, and it's forming a hydrophobic layer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just stays on top this perfectly smooth
Yep.
layer. That's why you get it. But I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of that happening because again, the roads are much smoother in Fort Worth where this happened. but they're in terrible conditions. You
And
get
so
undulation,
they
which
had
breaks traction.
And they had a massive pileup on the
They
highway. I
did. So
bet.
just after a hill crest on a large interstate where everyone's yeeting their F-150 at 90 miles per hour, where you can't see just a short while ahead, somebody had a crash. Then another person had a crash into them, and then 148 more people had a crash into them.
Oh no.
So if there's 5 dead folks and
At
a
least
lot of
now.
at least
Yeah.
and a lot of injured, but just
Well, people were getting out of their cars in the middle of this.
Again,
I was
they don't
watching
know
videos of people like running out of
what
their
to
cars.
do.
Like,
You
it's
s-
one of those
if
things
you
like in
get
Minnesota.
an
Like,
accident, you stay in your car, especially during the winter.
yep.
Because the snow makes it hard for people to see, and then they cannot stop.
Correct.
No,
And
and-
also
but
you're
even
in
then-
at least a crumpled steel cage.
Yeah.
but that's the other thing is like when they do stop, you don't know what direction they're going.
Yeah, 'cause
and
they're
they're
gonna
likely
yeet
going to the
themselves.
direction you're going because you just stopped on the same thing. So they're probably gonna go towards you. So
Target fixation.
yeah,
Yeah, no, whenever I spin out my van, which I do a little bit too frequently because of icy interstates by my work, or off ramps rather, I spin out the car, I stay in my car, and then I just wait for my car to settle.
yeah, you
and then
spin
I
out at least once a
drive.
year. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because I
No
drive.
funds for winter tires. I get it.
Yeah,
well, no,
and
I mean Jana also just drives like a maniac.
It
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
I
You can
use
drive
the
like a
same.
maniac with winter tires.
No, I
The
don't think-
only
I don't
time
think
I've
you
gotten out of a car and I've been like, whoa! It's days where I'm like, either I don't know how to drive or I need new winter tires. Not the case. It actually is not stand-upable outside.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, when I say drives like a maniac, I mean, you do that as you get to your car, you understeer out of your parking lot, and you go, okay, I'm just gonna get on the highway like normal. That's what you do.
That's what we do.
yeah,
But
Yeah.
winter
That's
tires
driving
let
like a
you do
maniac.
that, though.
So,
but no,
yeah,
no. I mean, like, you understeer out of the parking lot where
Yeah.
you already know that the road and the tires are not compatible,
We've just established the limits of your vehicle for the day.
but then you just choose to drive past that
That's fine.
after the fact.
Yeah.
That's what Jana chooses.
Get where you're going.
That's what I
Fine.
do. So like I use my car every once in a while. I've never stepped out because I go, if I made this mistake, other people are gonna make this mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And so I immediately I drive out of it, but you gotta let your car settle. You can't just immediately panic and try to get out of it. You gotta let your
Oh,
car
I just
settle.
power out, turn off
Yeah.
the traction control, and just fucking send her.
I don't have traction control.
Perfect.
That's
Good.
how she ends up
I'm
backwards
envious of
everywhere.
that.
Yeah, but yeah, so I have to restart my car and then I go.
Yeah, when she spins out, she isn't just like
I was gonna say it
1.8.
takes a lot to stall an automatic 1 or 3MZ vehicle.
Yeah.
it's she spins out to the point where the engine goes, I'm in an accident, I'm turning off.
Yeah.
Like
Fuel cut shuts off.
yeah, the fuel cut. Like she doesn't
I
like when
literally-
she
like, when I
she
say I
spins out,
hate
it's like
my
it's a
vehicle-
NASCAR spin out. Like it's
I'm-
insane.
I avoid all objects though.
Yeah, she's never actually crashed
Good.
it,
I'm glad
I've
you
ne-
don't fixate.
Yeah.
but it's absolutely terrifying
I've
driving
ne-
with her in
yeah.
winter.
Yeah,
It-
I believe you.
But I drive like that so recklessly because I drive myself most of the time.
Sure.
And like,
You also know like exactly where you're gonna spin out, and
Oh,
you're
yeah.
just like,
I know my
I
car.
can feel it like the second I get on the on ramp or
Are
the
you
off
Phil
ramp,
Collins?
I just go.
I can
"I'm
feel it.
gone."
I mean, I'm gonna look at the car behind me now.
feel
Like
it
you just you
And I just
yeah.
spin, and then like people drive by me and they're like, "Is that person okay?" And they go to stop, and I go, "No, don't stop for me.
Where
Don't,
I'm-
you're gonna cut. You're gonna
This
hit
is
my
the
car."
I'm dying motion. Come help me.
This is the thing is where like Jana gets into that situation, she just continues on.
Yeah.
I get into that situation, I'm gonna let off the throttle. And Jana's just like, no.
I full send it.
Yeah, for me, I'm like, maybe I'll not go full potatoes the rest
And
of this
she
drive.
does that, yeah.
I
And she
will
just
send
keeps
it.
going,
I
and
just-
I'm just like, I prefer not.
I have no
like-
self-preservation instinct when I'm driving.
I know I'll be fine because my equipment's good, but at the same time, I'm like, I have no interest in being stuck or getting home any slower.
And that's the thing is like, yeah, for me, it's just like, I don't feel like dealing with this.
Yeah.
And
It's
actually,
just the potential ramifications of it. I'm too lazy to slide off the road.
Yeah, well, I just see things and I go, please don't hit it. This is just gonna be inconvenience for me. Like this
Just
is
close
gonna
your eyes.
tack on
It's
3
probably better.
minutes. And so I just like look. I see where the fence is. I see where my car is going, and I go. Okay.
You're like the predator. Your eyes are just
Yeah.
tuned on shit you don't want to hit,
Yeah.
and that's it.
That's it.
Not where's the road, not how is it. Just don't
Avoid
hit this
this.
shit.
Yeah,
Whereas,
and
like,
then,
anybody else
are
on
there
Earth,
cars
like-
coming? And I go, nah. All right, I'm spinning out. We're good. We'll
I picture
carry
you
on.
just like stepping on the foot parking brake and just like doing a 360 and then just kicking it back off while nobody's looking.
Pretty much. And then people like see me and they're like, that person is a lunatic, and they're not wrong.
That's true.
yeah. So Speaking of
People in
winter
Texas
stuff,
can't do that.
I'm going to talk about my little ode here to the shitbox I want to talk about. Because I bought a car that I actually like a bit more than my Fiat right now.
I liked your story. It was 6.
I'll try to find a reference to the number 6 in this, but this car's got a lot of number 4s in it. But
I'll contribute too, because we both have shit boxes right now
Yes.
that are very endearing.
Yeah, I bought a 1995 Honda Accord from my friend Josh for $500 because he just wanted to get rid of it, and I could sell it for more than I bought it for.
Same reasons I bought my shit box.
Yeah, it's automatic. It's a coupe. It's everything you personally don't want. I like the coupe,
Yeah.
but I hate the automatic. But like, I'm not gonna lie, I've kind of slept on CD Accords. Like, I'm driving the car and I'm like, if this had a manual transmission, I'd actually want to keep it. Like, it's got some like pretty bad rust on it, but like, it's one of
It's
those
a
things where
Honda.
like, yeah. But I mean, it's also it's a CD Accord. If it didn't have bad rust, it would have already been stolen. And even now, it's just like second nature to me to just like, turn off the car, pop the hood, like flip around the spark plug wires, and like move some fuses around so like it doesn't start.
Well, that's an auto, so you could potentially pull the linkage off the transmission too.
I could do
That'd be
that.
pretty easy. It's
Yeah.
just a cotter pin and a washer,
It's way easier to just do things where I don't have to bend over.
I guess.
But it's one of those things where it's like I'm actually driving the car and it's like I don't really care about it rusting it out anymore. Like, I've got full coverage insurance on 'cause it's a Honda. I live in St. Paul. Like, why would I not do that?
yeah, with gap coverage.
Yeah, like, I have like every piece of coverage on this.
You want yes,
Yes, like
but it's yes.
yeah. I know it's gonna get stolen at some point. Like,
And he knows I'm gonna be driving it in
Oh, yeah,
winter,
yeah.
so he just knows it's gonna get used
Yeah,
at
so
some point.
It
But,
won't
like,
make it to the spring.
the rear
even though it's
brakes.
a month
The
away.
rear brakes don't work at
fine,
all.
just cut 'em
Like
off.
you can tell when you step on the brakes, the front brakes lock up immediately,
Well,
and
and,
then
like,
you can't steer. Like,
This is the fun.
When we were picking up the car, I was supposed to like be driving it, and both Ryan and our friend Josh was like, "The brakes don't work. The brakes don't work," and they were like telling me on how to drive it. I get in it, and like I've been
It drives
in
fine.
Eurovans, like Eurovan.
Not to
brakes
mention, you've also driven like Ron and all these
Yeah.
other cars, which are, I mean, no, they're a different
Even-
generation. But
yeah. But no, I mean, this honestly, like in its current condition with not working brakes, it's still more stable than driving any sort of Volkswagen van.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've driven
Like,
plenty.
yeah, like it's way better than that.
90s
So-
Hondas are very planted.
Yeah, so like, even with like stuff being very broken on it, it's still great. But what's like awesome about it is like, so it's an EX, it's got VTEC on it.
Nice.
It's got leather interior. It's a nice car.
I did not know it was an EX.
Yeah, it's actually like it's a.
Does it have alloys?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Wow,
I fall
swanky.
into the seat.
Yeah, because you don't notice how low 90s cars are until you haven't been in a 90s car for a while, and you're like, wow, everything's a Lamborghini.
This is great. Yeah.
But
Oh yeah, my MR2, the second gen.
yeah,
It was like, well, A, that had racing seats that weren't properly installed in it. But anyway,
yeah. But I mean, like, it's one of those
Either
things where it's like, it's just.
I want that to make a comeback. I hate like, oh, I want a commanding view of the road. I want to
Fuck.
slide into my seat.
I cannot possibly say fuck that enough because there's nothing more fun than getting into your Accord and feel like you got into a race car. And what it
Yeah.
really is, it's a mom car, and it's
It
totally
was a mom
comfortable.
car when mom cars were actually tolerable to
And
drive.
You know what? NPR comes in great. The heat works. I can
Yep.
drink a coffee without having to take my hand off of my coffee, and just
I refuse to be an apologist for the automatic.
yeah, that's fine. But I'm just saying, like this thing, like I'm so happy with how shitty this car is, and honestly, I got the Fiat because it was going to be like something I can drive in winter. But like this one, I kind of like the Fiat more than I like this car. So I'm like, I like this, and it makes me like, I think this is my favorite part about the shitbox car. If you ever have a car that you're questioning, like you've not experienced it, but like, am I gonna like this car? You get the shitty version of it and
Yeah.
see if you like it. And it's like with this Accord, like, yeah, now like the first thing I did after I bought it is I went home and like me and Jan sat down and watched YouTube, and I went on Guna Exchange and I started looking for Accord SIRs.
Like a nice one.
Like like the best possible one. I could not find one in all of Japan.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And then I went on like Craigslist. I'm like, all right, I'll take an American manual EX coupe. And I couldn't find one. They're impossible to find in good condition.
Because they got used.
Yeah. But there's a reason for that. And there was a really cool cars. And you could get a coupe with a rear wiper. And
That's
a
pretty
sedan
cool.
with a rear wiper.
Yeah,
which is like,
sedan rear wiper's cool.
Yeah.
That's like Evo and that.
yeah,
Is
it's
it-
like, Evo that, like a Skyline.
Is this
Yeah,
the same
that's true.
generation my mom would have had? No, my mom had a CB.
She had a
Never
CB.
mind. Okay.
Yep. But yeah, I always slept on these because I was like so in love with the
CD
CB.
coupes are pretty uncommon, I will say.
Yeah, like even like finding a sedan in decent nick with a manual is
Oh.
like impossible. Like even finding a CD sedan in decent nick at all, even with an auto, is impossible. Like they don't exist
They
in good condition
all
anymore.
really rust.
Well, not only that, they were all like beaten to hell and back.
Yeah.
'Cause that's the one you want. Like you want to get like a 95, 96 CD EX with a manual, because that's the one where you can directly bolt in a Prelude engine, a H22, without having to even change the wiring harness, because the dual, it's got VTEC already, it's got everything, so it literally just plugs together.
I'm sure there's a few grandmas out there that still have these that are in the garage because
Yeah.
they're stuck in a nursing
They're
home.
really, really good cars. But I think like if you ever have like a car, like if you were gonna be like,
Mike Reed's mom had a beige CD sedan, just
Yeah.
auto 4-cylinder in great shape. Just got parked when she bought her RX 300. I don't know what happened to it.
but it's one of those things where it's like, if you had a car where like, what's a car that like you think you might like, but you haven't actually experienced, like maybe like a Jaguar or something.
No, I would never buy one of those. I'll think about it.
But like if you think of like a car that like you like, but like you haven't driven it ever, and you're like, I don't really want to like drop $5,000.
I got it. D2A8.
Yeah, exactly, like a D2A8, like that. Like we're like, you know what? I want to actually experience this car as a whole, but I don't really want to like invest enough money to like get a good one. Like
The problem is there isn't like a shit box.
Like, they're
there's
either-
non-running junkyard-bound cars, or there's nice ones.
yeah, and that's the thing. Is
But I picked up a car that just shit boxes don't exist because it's not a reliable car.
But like it's one of those things where it's like if you find one where it's like it has problems and like
Oh, yeah,
you
the
can
HVAC
look
doesn't work and the
Yeah.
transmission needs a service.
like you look around the problems where like this one are like I admit that it's got an automatic. I know it. That's my issue. I've driven a manual Accord with it, and I know how the manual works. It works fine. I want to see how I like the car itself beyond the transmission. You get the automatic, like kind of shitty one. It's got some rust on it, like some mechanical issues, and like as long as there aren't anything that like immediately affect the actual drivability, usability of the car,
Yeah.
like yeah, you're fine. Like this is like great example. Every CA Accord I've ever had is a great example. My Supra, I guess, was an example, even though I did not intend on that being a shitbox, but it had a bunch of electrical problems that nobody told me about that made it a shitbox. But it's one of those things where, like, if you can actually experience how the vehicle operates, I think that getting a shitty example of one, like, just to see what the hype is about, is a really good way to get into a car. So, like, right now, like, a car for me, if I were to get another shitbox, if I were to get, like, if I was trying to get, like, a European car, like, I would probably get, like, an E46 sedan. Like,
Oddly enough, that's what my shit box
yeah,
is.
oh, there we go. So perfect. Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. Like, a car where it's like,
It's a great car. I'm like, at the entire time I was doing Polar Run with it, I'm like, I could easily daily. This is my only car, and it
Yeah.
cost me $600.
yeah,
Like,
like,
it's comfortable. It has great heat. It's reasonably efficient.
and that's a perfect example of a car where it's like you can easily spend a shitload of money on an E46, but like you might not like it. Maybe the E46 isn't your thing. Like,
Well, I mean, it will be.
But I
'cause
mean,
they're
like,
great
that's the-
cars.
like,
But
just
an XI,
as a listener,
don't
but
buy
I mean,
an
like-
XI, by the way, everyone.
but I mean, like that's a shitbox. Like
Yeah.
you get the XI, you go, how does this drive? You know, this is actually really great. Like it'll be
This-
even better. There's a way better version of it.
The blue
but-
wagon I had last year drove really well,
Mm-hmm.
but it was an auto. I'm like, this still is like one of the best driving IXs I've ever driven, or XI. This one is that good, plus it's a manual.
Yeah.
So it's not even slow. I'm like, oh man. I'm at the point, like, do I even want to sell this in the spring, or do I just use it for another Polar Run? And
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm going to sell it, and I'm just going to do the same thing in the fall.
And,
Just
like,
buy another car.
I think another one, Fox Body Mustang. I kind of want to get a shitty V8 Mustang.
You've got more tolerance for shit than I do.
Well, that's the thing is like I know where an automatic transmission will be acceptable for me. I know what my acceptability level of an automatic transmission is. So like a third gen Camaro or a Fox Body, like that. If I could find one of those for like $800 or less, that's like runs well and like doesn't have like a tie rod ready to come off, like one that's like mechanically sound but kind of shitty. Like if I can find one that's like mechanically sound but kind of shitty that doesn't have any major issues like steering issues or like ready to explode, I would be interested in getting one. So
I mean, there's stuff that, outside of the German typical stuff that you always hear from me, like if
Yeah.
I found a second-gen V70R manual in
Yeah.
terrible condition, I would 100% buy that
Yeah.
just to live with it.
And like for me, for me, it's I use shitboxes like cars I normally would not invest money in, but I want to experience it. Like I really want a chance to, and like one of those cars is a third gen Camaro. I really want to actually own one, but it's like I really don't want to spend third gen IROC Z money on a Camaro. Like,
Oh, you could be like that guy with the 305 TBI that tried to like back into me at the Coon Rapids cruise, and I told him his car was tacky. He got all up in my face.
yeah, it'd be like, I'll take a 305 TBI, like just butthole third gen, and drive it in winter. I'd be fine with that.
As long as you scrap it when you're done, even if it's fine.
Well, I'd probably sell it for profit.
No. As long as you scrap it when you're done.
Just to piss them
To
off.
spite the third gen owners group.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Is
They're
like,
just
No,
bad
drop
people.
a piano on it.
drop a piano.
Or
on
a
it, yeah.
caravan.
Yeah.
But I mean, for
Or
me,
both.
For me, it's just it's cars or
Caravan with a piano in it?
if it doesn't cost me anything to own it, and I get to say,
Yeah.
you know what,
I do like
can,
making money on my shit boxes.
It's like if it doesn't cost me anything, and I can now make an informed opinion upon if I like this vehicle or not.
Or
As
donate
opposed
it
to-
to students.
As long as it doesn't get driven regularly the rest of its existence, I'm fine with it.
Even then, I don't care. Like I
I
just
do.
want. It's entirely an experience for myself with a shit box. It's to see if
It's
I
like that
want
Lambo
car.
dad guy. It just makes me want to buy all the 5-liter Gallardos and scrap them.
Oh,
like-
I know how you feel. I really like driving shit boxes because I kind of drive not like I have no attention. I'm a good driver, but I hit curbs sometimes.
It's kind of nice not having
And
to worry.
so it's nice like having a car where I don't have to worry about that.
Second gen Camry 2.5 manual. I would definitely buy one of those in bad condition.
That's a really good example for a shit
'Cause I
box.
like
You could
having-
totally get a shitty one for like $200.
If it exists anymore.
Yes.
I like having a car that I care about, but whoops,
Yeah.
did something a little funky.
Oops.
I drove over too big of a snowbank. Oops.
Yeah.
It'll be cheap to fix.
No, it's not oops, it's oh.
Oh.
It's
Yeah.
also a really
That's
funny like last night
I backed into a trash can.
Oh.
because Jana might like have Valentine's Day ruined over her COVID vaccine, where she might be just like totally laid up in her house. So we did our Valentine's Day.
Maybe.
We did our Valentine's Day dinner last night, but like I
Just in
went
case.
to Cove last night, which
Okay.
is like a very expensive.
With the very artsy line over the
yeah, it was a $60 dinner for crab cakes and pasta.
Oh, I do love crab cakes
Yeah,
though.
but it was like
Seven's crab
it
cake.
was $60 for that, which is insane money for that
I spend
dinner.
that on lunch sometimes. It's fine.
Well, I mean, I also am a very cheap person.
Yeah,
And also, I
I
could
try to
totally have
be,
made
but-
this at home. Like, but I like chose like I want to get Jan a nice dinner. And nothing is better.
I don't miss that part of life.
One of the best things ever was going to the Cove in Edina, where everybody had like Gelandewagens and like Tesla P85Ds and stuff, and all these like very expensive cars. And like there's like the valet
They're all
guy.
dining in.
And, like yeah, they're all dining in. There's a valet guy. I get my Accord. It just looks like shit.
You didn't even take the Fiat.
I didn't take the Fiat. I took the Accord. See, the Accord was warm. That's how I drove it. I parked the Accord. I parked
In
it in,
curbside pickup.
I parked it in between a G63 AMG and what is the 12-cylinder 7 Series called?
760 now.
Yeah, 760. Yeah, like a newer 760. It was like these two cars combined are literally more expensive than my house. It's just this like $500 absolute turd, like Accord.
I think my gray 500 Gasser was the last car I took to a valet, and he took it in stride.
And I put it in between those, like, cause like I drove past the valet guy and they saw him like looking at me like judgingly. And they just parked in one of the to-go spots. Oh, it was great. I have the car running and everything.
I do like taking shitty cars to valets
That's
at
great.
nice places.
Oh yeah, it's the best. Like, especially when you have the money to spend.
That's the thing. Like, yeah, if you're driving a cheap car, you're not going to a restaurant like that.
No.
So if you're driving a shitbox, doesn't mean you're poor.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like it just means that you're just driving that shit box. There's a
You're
reason you
Fis-
probably like it.
fiscally conservative.
Yeah.
Speaking of valet, it reminds me of when we were in Chicago with the CRX, and we were at we stay in Evanston because I refuse to stay in Chicago anymore.
It's so much cheaper in Evanston. It's like
Yeah.
Evanston to Chicago is like Richfield to Minneapolis. It's a first ring suburb. It is the It's got everything Chicago has.
And it's a college
like a
town,
little
so
bit nicer.
everything is just open just as late as
Nice.
Chicago.
Oh, that's good.
So it's not like staying in Skokie where everything closes. Like it's
Nothing's open on a Saturday.
I just know if you go to the Freehands parking ramp and then you go in and see the concierge, they don't ask you to prove that you're actually staying there, and they'll validate your parking for a weekend.
That's
So
awesome.
You don't have to pay for parking, which is really
But
nice.
yeah, so we stayed in Evanston at a really nice hotel, because we could afford it, and of course we had to valet the CRX, and all the valet people fought to take the CRX every time. Like they loved it so much.
That car is
And it was
awesome to drive
I'm
for
not
very
gonna
short
lie,
periods of time.
That garage is really fun to drive into.
No,
So they just
love
loved
driving in
it,
parking
and like,
garages.
but because all the teenage boys wanted to drive it, the manager was the only person that would take the car. Like
It's pretty funny,
He
'cause-
refused to let anyone else because he knew that they would do something stupid and mess up the car.
Yeah, there's like a line of like 560 SLs and stuff, just like of like R107s and like old man cars, and it's just my CRX.
That tells you who you're going to run
Yeah,
into. yeah.
exactly. So
I would never trust a manual car to a valet, except for I guess they did the Fiat ones. I'm like, the clutch is cheap enough.
yeah.
Well,
But
and, like-
you also have expensive cars that you should be valeting. But I'm gonna be like,
I've seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off too many times.
Right.
And like I know Matt Greiser and all these people are like professional valets, and that's not actually what happens. But
well, my favorite thing is like going to valet at the shitbox, and it's like Beverly Hills Cop. We're like, hey, all that stuff happened last time I was here. Make sure you park it in a good spot.
right.
Like all this rust, that big ass dent, like it's all happened. Like this car is perfect.
And you say
before
it
I
with
brought
your
it here.
famous straight face.
Yeah, with my
Look.
famous.
Can I talk to you for a second? All of this happened last time my car was here and
Yeah.
was put into your care.
Yeah.
See that this doesn't happen again, okay?
Oh yeah, you know I'm the king of gaslighting, so I will totally.
I like that came full circle.
Yeah, I totally will do that.
Good God.
All right, well that puts us at 56 minutes. Hey, actually, real quick, I'm gonna bring something back. What did you learn this week?
I learned that to remediate asbestos, not asbestos, raybestos combined with asbestos, not the same
Yeah.
thing. You have to soak the shit out of it for a while, and then it just turns into a paste, and then you wear several masks and gloves, and then you throw all of that shit away with it.
Oh wow, that's like insane.
Yeah, it is. I hate saying that, like, it's overblown because how safety oriented you have to be. If you
Yeah.
do it for a living, you gotta take full body bunny
it makes
suits,
sense,
everything.
yeah.
Like if you touch it twice in your life, like be really careful. But just like the key is the fibers that it gives off when you touch it they're so fine, like you can't filter them, and they bond. They don't leave your body.
Yeah.
So it just builds up and concentrates, and it's extremely carcinogenic. So I'm not condoning you do it on your own, but I had one duct I had to move in my house, which was clearly wrapped in asbestos. So I just had Corey there with a spray bottle full of water, just goosing it as I'm ripping this cork stuffer out of the wall. So I learned how to do that.
You learned
this
that?
week.
What'd you learn, honey?
My brain was empty this week.
That's
Well,
fair.
Yeah, I
I'll
didn't
come
learn
back to you.
anything.
Because this is what I want to talk about. Ron Paul, the Republican politician, or the Libertarian one, he was a doctor in Texas before he was a politician.
Okay.
He actually delivered Selena Quinteros,
Oh,
the singer.
I don't know who that is.
Selena,
Bitty Bitty Bum Bum.
she was
Uh,
a huge
more
singer in the
Prohibito?
90s.
She was a Tejano crossover. How have you never heard of Selena?
You would recognize
Yeah,
her.
you
I'm
would,
sure I
you would
would.
recognize her.
This is a
If
man
you just Google the name Selena,
that
you'll know
doesn't
who she
hear
is.
words and songs. How am I gonna know who sings them?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, like, everybody knows who Selena
She was
is.
like
Clearly not.
Britney
Okay,
Spears
yeah.
before Britney Spears.
No.
Yeah, she was Britney Spears in like 1995. Like she was that big.
Okay.
She got murdered in like 1995.
Ah,
And
she's
that's
probably
why-
in two box car.
Yeah.
So she got murdered in 1995, and then like the next year like Britney Spears came out.
Yeah.
So like
that sounds
she was
about
like a
right.
proto of that, where she was like the first like pop diva of the 90s.
Ah.
Yeah. So she was like really good, like super good. I cannot get enough of. I love Selena. But yeah, apparently she was delivered by Ron Paul.
Ah,
That's
that is a
hilarious.
very obscure fact.
That is the thing I learned this week, and that's why I needed to bring this back, because I needed to share this information with somebody. That Ron Paul delivered Selena.
When has the need for context or a segue stopped you from delivering a fact?
Exactly. So did you learn anything, honey?
Again, brain empty.
There you go. You learned that Ron Paul delivered Selena
I guess
as
so.
a doctor. fun fact for you to dwell on. So, everybody should go listen to...
Oh, I learned that Bernie Sanders is an ignorant slut.
What?
Awesome.
That came up in the impeachment hearings.
Oh.
Who said that?
Some senator called Bernie Sanders an ignorant slut.
Now I'm just picturing Bernie Sanders as a slut.
An ignorant one. So they not only
The ignorant
called
image
Bernie's-
isn't funny, but the
called
slut part
a
is.
well-known senator an ignorant slut. They quoted The Office in an impeachment hearing.
Yeah.
I'm
Threat
just,
level midnight.
I'm just throwing... Oh, did you like my threat level midnight meme that I put on the Carbitrage Discord?
I don't know. Did I see it?
Damn it. I'm sure you probably did. Never mind.
All right, we'll talk to you guys
later.
next week.
Bye.
Bye.